Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are listening from. You are on another episode of The Last Word on Rugby. We had an absolute feast of a match down in Cape Town this past Saturday, where the Boks threw everything at the Barbarians and they came out on top very, very easily. We rained a bit wet. Hopefully, this week, when the Boks take on Italy up in Pretoria, they will have a dry game. We will see some more running rugby. But yes, like that innovation against the Barbarians. We had Andre Esterhuizen coming on as a hybrid loose forward. We saw some very, very excellent plays on the attack from the Boks. And then that return of Lothar Jager, I mean, amazing. Coming back after almost 2 years on the sidelines. He looks in good shape. The Boks started the season in good shape. If you haven't yet, click that like button, subscribe to our channel as we try to bring you the latest on the Springboks as they start the international test season. With me today, Mike Greenaway, as usual, and then John Goliath, who will be joining us forward. Guys, John, we were at the DHL Stadium. Some excellent, excellent rugby dished up by the Boks. What what grabbed you in that game of just how the Boks started their international season?
Hi, Leighton. Hi, Mike. I think it was just the intent, the way they approached the game in terms of they mixing that physicality, but also with some clever play, some variations on attack
Yeah,
in terms of the kicking game, the passing game, the running game. And it was just for that first 10 minutes. I think I looked at it closely, and the Barbarians didn't touch the ball until the 11th minute of the game. It was just the how the box climbed in, but also that intent they showed with ball in hand. It was just incredible to see. For it was, I mean, it's the first match of the season.
the
We would
first one,
expect them
yeah.
maybe just to ease themselves in, but of course
Mm.
they mentioned that for the last 2 weeks there was a tough new fitness test which everyone had to go through, and then the preparations for this one, and they really look hungry just to kick on from what happened in 2023, 2024, with all eyes on the box now going forward, essentially, until we get to the pinnacle of this season, which is going to be the highlight of the season, the All Blacks at Eden Park.
Yeah, we've been chatting up that All Black Eden Park test, but Mike, you are up there in Josie at the moment. The Boks are training there, but they're moving to Pretoria for the first test. Just quickly, your thoughts on that Barbas game and what you've seen this past week at training with them, and that you can see that they're taking into
Yeah.
that Loftus clash.
Yeah, like John said, it was all about the intent at the Cape Town Stadium. And, if the conditions were better, as Rassie said, a lot of the
Mm.
offloads that went to ground would have stuck. And I mean, we could have got substantially more than that 50 points. Yeah, look, I've been at the press conference this week. We've had a fair number of players on duty, and the talk amongst all of them is to go up a level now. These guys are excited. They're hungry. They really want to use these 4 games. It's Barbars, Italy times 2, Georgia, just to get onto the field what they've been discussing in their alignment camps, and we saw quite a bit of it against the Barbarians. Yeah, a lot of talk this week about Tony Brown. He keeps coming up amongst the guys, and rightfully so. It's his second year with the Springboks, and all the talk now is about building that attack even more. Uh, yeah, just a sort of scene setter as well. I spoke to a couple of the Italy players, Ross Vincent, the Capetonian, and Sebastian Negri. Yeah, look, I mean, this is going to be difficult for them. Hey, you got a hungry Bok team that wants to go up a level.
Yeah.
They want to set a benchmark, the forwards for what they're going to, how they're going to play for the rest of the season. Italy come here. I think they've got 7 or 8 of their first choice players, their star players, haven't come.
Mm.
They're being rested, and when you consider Italy don't have a huge amount of depth, that's quite significant. Um, yeah, so I worry a little bit about how this game will turn out for them. Although they say we've got nothing to lose. There is zero expectation on Italy to beat
Mm.
the world champions in Pretoria. So, they can give it a lash. But yeah, dry, fast conditions, a Springbok team that really is intent to go up a level. The players know how much competition there is. Rassi's going to rotate all the guys over these 4 tests, this first block before the Rugby Championship. So everyone's got to sort of really pull finger here because the competition is fierce. So yeah, that's just to give you a little bit of a background of the feeling in the two camps.
Yeah. And what I'm starting to worry about after reading that Italy is not sorry on full strength coming here, and Georgia we know tier 2 nation, um is will the Boks be prepared for what lies and waits in the rugby championship? That's a very interesting topic, and Rassi spoke about it being they are not going to select sides according to the strength of Italy or Georgia or the Barbarians, but they are rather going to focus on what they want to see. And by the time they get to the rugby championship, that he knows exactly which combinations work and which players can play together with who, and what team will be his strength team that he's going to send to New Zealand, possibly 12, 15 guys ahead, while they're playing Australia still. So it's a good thing for the Boks that they have this amount of depth, that they can do this now during the Italy and Georgia tests. Imagine they had to play Ireland again, and it was going to be straight up your best team must play because we need to win the series. So all in all, this three-test, it will be very good preparation for the Boks. It doesn't matter if it's not up to the strength that they want, but guys will get minutes in their legs, and I think that's the main thing for us, is to get those guys playing, and getting them on a level that he wants to with the other players around them. John, it's a debut for Vincent Tshituka this weekend, a full test debut. You got to see him go in Cape Town. The man just looks to empty that tank every time he steps onto the field.
Yeah, I think there we go. We've got another loose forward in the mold of a Peter Steph du Toit. Obviously, you can't compare him to Peter Steph du Toit at this point in his career,
Yeah.
but the guy has got a massive engine. He tackles everything that moves. He carries well, and he's got lovely soft skills as well. A guy who can get his hands through the tackle, offload. So it's just a brilliant position to be in. I thought he did really well. I also love the glimpses of Asa when he came on, when
Yeah.
he started against the Barbarians. There's another tight head prop for you. He's only going to get better over the next couple of years going into the World Cup. And it's actually embarrassing to have this many options. If you look at other teams around the world, and you look at the box probably has about in each position 3 players that can start at any given time
Really
in any
world
given
class. Yeah.
test, and they won't sort of diminish the quality of the team. But looking also at the next few fixtures, I think this is essentially 4 warm-up games that the Boks will be playing going into the rugby championship. And if we and I joked the other day that if you look at Australia, there's also probably 6 warm-up games
Warm-up games.
that
Yeah,
they
because
will be playing at
they
home.
playing the Lions and they're gonna struggle against the Lions. And by the time it comes to the Boks, how many players will be left standing? So you're quite right there, man.
Yeah, but obviously you can't underestimate Australia. I think we saw in the end of year two how they improved. They
Mm.
beat England. They've got a couple of youngsters, especially in the backs, coming through. Obviously, their issue is up front.
Yeah.
Is always going to be the issue for them. But I think for the Springboks, this is essentially 4 warm-up games now going into the rugby championship.
If I can just touch on that depth you're speaking about, John, but the return of Lotte Jager, I don't think we can underestimate the value of
Wow,
that.
it's
Yeah,
massive.
That
I was just
guy,
gonna say.
even before Rassie took over in 2018, the first choice Springbok second row was Eben Etzebeth and Lotte Jager for a number of tests. And they were a brilliant combination. And poor old Lotte, he got injured in one of the games prior to the World Cup. And he's pretty much been out ever since. But listening to Rassie talk this week, just saying how great it is to have him back because he's such an intelligent player and he can add to the pack what Victor Matfield did in previous eras, with his way he runs the lineouts, his understanding of the lineouts. So yeah, cheapest to see that guy back. After I think he made his debut, oh gosh, 2014 or something. I don't know, I'm guessing a little bit, yeah, but
It definitely
it
is.
was a long time ago. And to see him back, oh gosh, we just touch wood that he keeps injury free because he can add a lot of value to that Springbok setup. And that's not to discredit any of the other number 5 locks.
Yeah, and Rassi also said that basically these injuries may have added a couple of years to his career
Yeah.
because his body has
Yes.
got some rest. So he'll definitely be aiming for that. I think he would be desperate to get to the 2027 World Cup because of what happened in the final 2019. He missed
Yeah.
out because of that heart condition in 2023. And he would be really, really trying to get to that World Cup. And if you look at the number 5 options at the moment, you've got Lewitt, you've got Argus Snyman still there, Franco Mostert is still there.
Mm.
Then there's other
Ruan
guys still
Orkia.
on the sidelines who's playing, who's in the URC. Ruan Orkia, we haven't even touched on.
Yeah.
So it's just unbelievable. And by rotating every time, not just giving guys sort of game time and minutes, but you're also resting these aging players that are trying to get to the World Cup. I don't think we're going to see Eben play more than 6 matches this year.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, maybe 6 or 7 matches for him. A guy like Sia as well. Will the Rassi is very smart and how he's sort of giving these guys game time, but also in matches, maybe knowing when for them to go 80 and then also when for
Mm.
them to maybe play a 60 and then be replaced by the bomb squad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like it's so cool to see what Rassi is doing. The moment people stop talking about the bomb squad, he brings out something different, Mike. I mean, who would have thought that we would be calling someone a hybrid player? When I think of hybrid, I think uh, I think about something totally different. But now it's come up that they see Andre Esterhuizen as a hybrid player to also kind of prolong his career and also to give him
Yeah.
more game time. I mean, Rassi explaining that and just how it works, it totally makes
Yeah.
sense because if you have Damien de Linde playing at 12, he's arguably one of the best in the
Mm.
world at the moment over the last six, 5, 6 years since Rassi them took over 7 years. And it's going to be difficult for Andre to crack that spot if Damien is playing the way he is. We saw him
Yeah.
just like create that try for Kirtley Arends against the Barbarians. Brilliant, man. So making use of turning a bomb squad into a full bench, a normal bench, and turn it into a bomb squad with a hybrid player. Come on, that's genius,
Yeah.
eh?
Do you guys think we'll
Yeah.
see start one of the games at flank?
Sorry.
He could start
Do
one
you
of the
think we
games
could
at
see
Yeah,
him
flank.
you
start
could.
one of the games at flank?
Yeah,
Definitely,
yeah, yeah.
definitely.
Well, he opens up so many options for Rassie with that. You could have eight forwards on the bench, which would give Matt Williams and our favorite critics something to further to whinge about. But it's, I mean, it's just there's so many possibilities there, and we've seen. People, I don't know if you guys remember, but Andre actually played there a couple of times for the Sharks in the URC
Yeah,
when they had a
uh,
crisis, when they
yeah.
had a couple of guys in the bin. But Rassie said he's been talking to Andre about this for 5 months. So it's not just like they've, just
Just to
suddenly pull
pull
a
it out,
rabbit
yeah.
out the hat for fun. I mean, Rassie would never do that at international level, obviously. And he says, look, I mean, and the other players as well, Bongi, Jasper Visa, the guys are saying, wow, man, he's such a great addition. That speed, the bulk. I mean, he's 111 kgs, 1.93 meters. The only things that they've got to work out or work on rather with him is just a few technical things like in defending mauls, supporting in mauls, some line
Yes,
out
yes,
work, a
yes.
few. But those things, Scrum Doctor Don Newman says he's going to invite Andre to his farm as soon as they get a gap and work on those things. And then the possibilities are endless. And as you say, it prolongs Andre's career because, I mean, he's 31 and he's been behind Damien de Allender and fairly so.
Yeah,
But this opens up new possibilities for him and for the Springboks.
for the
But do you think
Boks,
it
yeah.
also opens up other possibilities in that 12 jersey? For
Yeah.
instance, if he's going to concentrate mainly on being this hybrid guy, do you need to maybe then look at another 12? Um, because I mean, injuries do happen
Mm,
in this game. So
Mm,
would you look
yeah.
now at Damien Willemse also, Andre Pollard maybe?
mm.
In to maybe cover those positions in terms of having another 12. I think that is probably the position where the Springboks don't have quite
If
Mm,
quite
a
that depth,
third
yeah.
choice, a
yeah.
Mm.
third choice player, an obvious third choice player at
Mm,
this point.
And do you know what I would do is maybe look at Andre at 12 while having Sasha on his inside or Mani on his inside as a
Yeah.
12, backup 12. But also, I would love to see Ethan Hooker at 12. That's where he's
mm,
played some of his best rugby for the Sharks next to Lorenzo Julius.
yeah,
They were quite exciting in a couple of games. So hopefully that can happen. But I know Rassi spoke about seeing Ethan more as an outside center. I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe I misheard that, but he looks very good at 12, and I would hope that he gets a run sooner rather than later to see what
yeah.
he also can bring in that Boks jersey.
Yeah, now 12 is Ethan Hooker's best position. He's been playing out of position on the wing, and it says quite a lot about him that he looks quite at home there.
Yeah.
But I think, Leighton, we're going to see some of these things that we're talking about happen over the next two games. Apparently, the team to play Italy in Port Elizabeth. Can I pronounce it?
Rebecca.
Is Rebecca has been announced internally,
Mm,
and then the team that's going to play against Georgia is already on the blackboard. So and and Rassi has said that he's using these four games to try guys in different positions to get everyone up to speed. So we'll see a completely different team next week. And then a completely different team again in Nelspruit for the
Georgia, yeah.
Georgia game. And I think we're going to see those guys like Ethan Hooker getting a go, Corbus Visa certainly will get a go next week and so on as Rassi gets everyone up to speed. So everyone is more or less on an equal footing at the end of this block. And then,
Mm,
unfortunately, they have a month's break. before they play Australia. So, yeah, I mean, that's good in a way that it's bumps and bruises can heal, but
Yeah,
momentum kind of comes to a halt.
a
And I
halt.
think
Yeah,
that's why Rassie has been saying that he was trying to organize another test match. But it doesn't look like that has come to pass. So
yeah,
a lot of experimentation over this 4 match block, then a 4 week break, and then Australia. And as we were talking about Australia earlier, you don't know which Wallaby team's going to pitch up here. Do they have wind
yeah.
in their sails after having had a cracking series against the Lions, or do they come here as the Walking Dead?
Yeah. From a land down under. Uh, yeah, look, guys. Yeah, I'm very, very excited. Looking at that first match and how things will pan out over the next three tests. There are a lot of guys who just needs that one match, like Vince Tshituka showed. They need that one match to impress, and they will keep going. Um, Hopefully, the injury to John Klein is not that serious. But as we mentioned earlier, an abundance of locks. Salman Murat is there. It's Ruan Orkio who's waiting as well. Then we have some guys in the UFC who hasn't had a look in just yet because of the embarrassment of locks in
And
the
Ruben
setup
van
at the
Heerden
moment.
played so well for the
I was going
But
to
Barbarians.
he
say,
was,
John,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's
exactly.
another
And he
guy.
can play 4 and 5. He
Yeah,
was
Yeah,
that
so
poor
good.
guy
He was about
has been ignored. Yeah,
he was about the only guy in that Baba side who could get over the advantage line when they had
yeah.
a bit of possession. And he got off a couple of nifty offloads as well. I think he
exactly.
probably spoke a few times to RG Snyman during the URC and in the build up to that Barbas game. But he looked so good, and hopefully sooner rather than later, he could get that look in he deserves as well. But our attention this week will just be on Italy, and hopefully they can put up a good display against the Boks. They left some of their Ferraris at home. Um, and brought some some new players in. But
Brought the Unos, brought the Uno
yeah,
players.
the Fiat. Hopefully they can put up a good display. But I don't feel too confident. I think if it's dry, we're going to see the Box probably put on a 50 score again against
I
the
think it's going to be
Italians.
closer to 100. I genuinely
I
think
was
we're
just
going to
gonna I
see
was just gonna
60,
say it
70
might go up to
points.
70. Yeah, it might go up to
Yeah.
70
It's going
if
to be, yeah, it's going to be a massive blowout. And then the next week, they'll be so dejected. They'll probably get 100. And I
No, I
love
think
the bet there.
you, John, you yourself know PE is a very good place, so it might turn out different. They might find some inspiration down in PE.
I don't think the Boks have lost in PE, if I'm not mistaken. In that stadium, sorry, in the Nelson Mandela Bay
Mm,
Stadium. I might be mistaken, but I don't
Yeah,
think the Boks have lost there. Yeah, they've
yeah,
they they beat the All Blacks there 2011. The last game there was against the Wallabies, I think, which they beat them as well. So yeah, but these 2 weeks, I think never mind Italy. Italy is like a side note at this point. I think what these 2 weeks will show us is as also like what I want to see specifically this weekend is obviously Jasper Wiese at number 8. I forgot
mm,
about him last week. Jasper Wiese at number 8. I think he's for me that's the one position where there's still a lot of people fight jostling for
and the
positions.
big, yeah,
But I think for me, he's probably the first choice at this point. And you have if
mm,
you're picking a back row for Eden Park. I see him at the back next to Sia and Peter Steff. Also
yeah,
interesting to see how Eben goes following the injuries, the
and the
concussion
concussions,
at the
yeah,
start of the season. I think that's also maybe the concussion was maybe a blessing in disguise just for Eben also to for his body to have a bit of a break in
mm,
terms of because we know the way Eben climbs in every match
he
and
goes,
for
yeah,
him that 4 months was maybe just a lovely little sabbatical just to get
Mm.
the body back
Yeah.
into shape.
Yeah, so Evan got injured against the Exeter Chiefs on December the 7th of last year, and we're now in July, and I think he's played about 2 or 3 games.
Mm.
So that's good rest for the body. I mean, that's giving
Yeah.
him a chance to really get over all the aches and pains and things. And and that's really what Rassie wants to, if these guys are going to go all the way to Australia in 2027, those senior citizens have to be looked after. And Lut by not the way he would have liked has I mean, Rassie says he's a 31-year-old, but he's got a 29-year-old body now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
But if we look at this team, guys, who do you think won't make it? There's a couple of guys that are already 34, 35 at this point. You
Yeah.
know, a guy like Magazole Mapimpi is 35.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's Vincent Koch is also sort of around there as well.
Yeah.
Who do you guys think won't make it at this point?
Look, I think Trevor Nyakani is another who's, I think that, this big injury he's had, I think that could be the end. I think Faf de Klerk is fighting for his place. I see he's come back. I wasn't even sure he would come back into the
Yeah.
Springboks, but there is some young scrum halves coming through. I think he's 33, 34-ish, is Faf. Sos, Franco Mostert. Look, that guy just goes and goes and goes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I
he's
was just
getting to
gonna say.
34, 35. And as we've said, there's a lot of locks. Um, you know, Sia Khaleesi's has also got a pull finger there. Eh?
Borderline, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be
Yeah.
36 in Australia. So it's not. I'm not saying he won't make it, but he
Yeah.
knows he's got to put the foot on the accelerator. Yeah,
And that's why they're going
Even,
through this new fitness test at the start of every
yeah,
campaign,
to
where
see
Rassie
who
spoke
can keep
about
up.
it. And Cheslin said it was the toughest thing that he's ever experienced in terms
Yeah.
of a Bok preseason. And I think that, and Rassie, it's not gonna be about emotion when making these decisions.
Yeah.
And they are using these fitness tests already to try and check who's
Sift
actually
through.
still on par and
Mm,
who will
yeah,
feature. And if you fail that fitness test, the chances of you going to the
yeah,
World Cup is remote.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, there's no room for sentiment if you want to win a Rugby World Cup. And
Yeah.
the Rugby World
True.
Cup history is littered with Dad's army teams that have gone, having previously won a World Cup or done really well. And I mean, even the Springbok side that went in 2011 to New Zealand, that was an aging team. They'd obviously won the previous World Cup. They'd beaten the British and Irish Lions, but there were a lot of a lot of senior citizens
The
in
same
that
guys
side.
featured in 2015 as well.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
we even saw Australia come here as world champions from 1991. They came here in 1995. Campo and all those guys were past it. So there is that temptation to hang on to the guys who've done it for you before. But I agree with you, John Rassie. He's too wise for that. And
Yeah.
we'll see these guys naturally filtering out over the
Mm.
next
Yeah.
year. So.
Just quickly, Markham, you are on the ground there for Saturday. Your prediction in 15 seconds. What do you see?
Yeah, it's Italy passion. The way they will start well. Um, yeah, I can't see them hanging on too much after halftime. Um, Especially if the Boks start well and start scoring early. I'm looking at a minimum of 30 points for the Boks, but probably more than 50.
No, you said close to 100, eh?
Yeah, look, if they put up if they put up those 50 points or 50 points against the Barbarians in the wet in Cape Town,
Yeah.
what are they going to do with Loftus when it's absolutely bone dry? It's at altitude as well. where the ball flies, obviously. But Italy will defend for most of the game, and I think that last 20 to 30 minutes, the altitude is going to catch them. They're going to be
Hmm.
out on their feet. The bomb squad is going to come on. Nah, guys, I think it's going to be about 60, 70, eh?
That's some very good predictions there, guys. Thanks for the chat. Yeah, John actually opened a can of worms with the guys not making it, so hopefully that can be a discussion amongst us real soon. But you've been tuned into another episode of the Last Word on Rugby. If you haven't yet, don't forget to click that like button, share the channel, and subscribe as we bring you box season. It's going into test one. We will have test two preview and then the review of the first one in the next episode. Thanks for joining me, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.